Starting in kneeling, we'll just go into child's pose. And in this child's pose, I'm pressing down into the floor with my hands. So I can feel a little bit of lift underneath the armpits. My neck is relaxed. And right now, my legs are together. If you prefer, you need to have the knees apart, that's okay. But I'm starting with my knees together so that I can just support my spine and my back and my rib cage a little bit more. And it'll create a little bit more rounding and a little bit more opening. Walk your hands to the left, and as you do, feel your right hip sink. And walking your hands across the front, go over to the right. Maybe weight your left hip a little bit more. And then come back in the middle. And then just thread your right arm across your collarbone and bring your ear to the ground. You can slide forward in space if that makes it a little more accessible. I like to keep my hips above my knees so that I have this decline towards my head, and it just sends more weight to the back of my right shoulder. And with the left arm, I'm going to go up in the air, turn the hand palm back, and then see if you can catch your right hip. And if you can catch your right hip, draw your right hip back. So it's like you're lengthening your right waist. And depending on how you feel in terms of balance, you might press into the back of your right arm and take your left leg up. Imbalance might be a challenge, that's okay. And then bring the knee back down to the ground. And then just unwind and come back to center. We'll do the same on the other side. So the left arm goes under. Right arm can come up, palm back, catch your left hip, and draw the left hip back. And you could certainly stay here, right? If it feels good to stay here, you're feeling nice in the shoulders, balanced, definitely stay. If you'd like, take your right leg up. Bring that knee down. Placing your hand on the floor to come out to the tabletop. You cat cows. Just feel the spine moving. Maybe some side to side. Maybe you can also just scribble the spine. It doesn't have to be formalized in any way. Just noticing if you feel any kind of aches and pains or restrictions on any part around your midsection or hips. Go ahead, tuck your toes under and come into your first downward dog. That'll feet if you need to, if you find it nice just to be in stillness, to feel some good length on the back of the legs. That could be an option too. The right foot step forward to your right hand and lift your right hand and look up. Allow your left knee to come to the floor, but keep your gaze up to your right hand. So just bending your left knee to touch the floor. And as you reach up through the right hand, feel your hand get pulled right into the ceiling to bring you upright, and keep your gaze at your right hand and look back behind you. So you're in an upright kneeling lunge looking behind. Decide how you feel. This could be enough if you'd like. Maybe you lift your left arm. Arms are still wide. You just feel that the right arm is coming down towards the ground as the left arm comes up. Be challenged on your balance. Could be a stretch on the front of your left hip. And then windmill the hands down to the floor. And step back downward dog. With the left leg, we'll do the same. So we'll step forward. Take the left hand up, look up. Back knees off the floor. Just stretching the arms in opposite directions, feeling the strength of your left leg. Allow your right knee to come down to the ground. Keep your gaze up at your left hand and the arms wide as you come to an upright kneeling lunge. And you're looking behind you. Just stay whole. Option to start to reach up with the right hand and down with the left hand. Go up higher through the right hand. Windmill the hands to the mat. Step back down the dog. Take a few breaths. Of course, a downward dog doesn't feel good. You can always just hang out in the tabletop, child's pose. From downward dog, shift your shoulders over your wrist so it's like coming to plank. And then let your knees come almost to the floor. So maybe your knees just barely touch the floor or they float like a centimeter above the floor. And you're keeping your pelvis forward and your core tight and just hold. And then straighten your legs and go back to downward dog. Do it again. Shift forward to plank. And then let your kneecaps almost touch the floor. And if you can, because you're floating just above the floor, you're going to really feel a little bit of work through that core. Press your hands. And then straighten the legs and go back to downward dog. Do one more time, one more time. Shift forward to plank. Kneecaps almost touch the floor. Imagine you were doing a kneeling plank, but because you're not quite touching the floor, you're completely engaged. And if you're ever coming to the kneeling plank, could you make your kneeling plank disengaged? And then straighten the legs and go back to downward dog. Shift forward to plank. And this time, do let the knees touch the floor. So you're back to the kneeling plank, but this time, instead of floating the knees, your knees are on the floor. You're going to touch your chest to the floor 3 times. So 3 push-ups from your knees, chest touching the floor. If you can't, keep those elbows tight. Down and push. Down, push. Down and push. Good. Downward facing dog. Right foot steps. Take your right hand up. You find your feet, find your legs. Maybe start to make your left hand feel just slightly lighter. Can you come to fingertips? Left hand. And then doing your best to keep your lunge. You might even bend your back knee if it makes it easier. Start to come to an upright twisted lunge. So you can make your torso upright. So if that means you need to bend a little bit in the back knee, that's okay. Maybe you imagine pulling your right hand back a little further behind you. Maybe you take a little back bend, right hand down, left hand up. Front knee a little bit more. You got it. Windmill hands to the floor. Step back, downward dog. Shift forward to plank. Knees touch the mat, chest touches the floor. Push right up. Downward facing dog. Left foot steps. Left hand up. Pause and find yourself the amount of space that you need. If you need to lengthen, you adjust your feet. Your outer hip, left hip sinking. You come to fingertips on your right fingers. You come upright. So take your time. You need to bend your back knee, bend your back knee. Look behind you, you do. Maybe you bend your front knee more. Find a bit of back bend. Hands to the floor. Step back down dog. To plank. Knees down. Chest down. Push up. Down dog. And if you'd rather be in a different position, like a table or a child's pose, to rest, right? You can certainly switch up. Your right foot will step forward to the right hip. Put the left foot down. Straighten your front leg. Maybe toes up or toes down. You may have your chest forward. You may have hands on blocks. Then take your left hand to your right shoulder. Take a look over your right shoulder. Maybe you can press your right heel down a little bit more into the ground. You might reach your chest more forward. Let's go for a twist. So bend the front knee 90 degrees. Elbows against the outside of the knee, perhaps. Or you could just take your open hand there. And then hands stack and lift the chest. So as you twist, try to feel that your outer right hip is still sinking. The chest is high. And if you feel comfortable here, if you feel strong, you might even tuck your back toe under and lengthen the back leg. It's totally optional, right? I want you to concentrate on your twist more so than your lunge. Try to feel support underneath your body. As you look down to the floor, put your left hand on the mat and then lift your right hand again. Turn to the outer edges of your feet. Really bend your right knee and press into the outer edge of your left foot. So you're not sagging to the floor, but you're really finding the legs. You're feeling the outside of your right thigh. Totally optional to stay. It looks good. You could step your right foot behind you and flip your plank. Optional. Reaching the right arm over your ear. And then shift it forward to plank. And here, if you'd like to lower in a traditional flow or vinyasa, you can go halfway, upward dog, and downward dog. You could skip the plank, low plank. You could do the knee plank all the way down, right? That transition, completely up to you. I'm going to change sides. So just take a moment, breathing in downward dog. Left foot steps, right knee down. And coming to a straight front leg. Hands can be on the mat, hands can be on blocks. You might be bowing down to the leg. You might be coming more forward over the leg with a flat back. And toes up or down, totally your choice. And then taking your right hand to your left shoulder. See if you can get your elbow towards the outside of your knee in that direction, of course. Um, Not everyone's going to be able to get it there. And see if you can feel more intensity through the outside of the hip. And then keeping your elbow at your knee, bend your knee. So as you bend your knee, your elbow will already be outside of your knee or somewhere there. And then see if you can come into a twist. Maybe hands stacked. If you're not twisting as deep, your right hand could be at your knee, could be more upright. And if you normally practice with your back knee lifted, just see how much of the pose you can get with your back knee down and try to get really comfortable in that. You feel that height and that lift underneath your right ribs. And then when you add the back leg, see if you can maintain what you had there while you add the back leg. We'll place the right hand on the floor underneath the shoulder and lift the left hand. So you're in a twisted lunge. You could stay. You could flip to the outer edges of your feet. And when I'm here, I want to bend more into my front knee, but then also really press into the outer edge of my right foot. Okay, so I really feel the most from the outer left hip. As an option, you might be taking the foot behind you to flip your plank. If you are, you could reach the left arm over your ear. And then coming back to plank. If you'd like to rest in down dog, table or child's pose, or flow. Plank, low plank, upward dog, downward dog. Reach your hands will come forward on the mat. Have your feet about a hip width. Inhale, lift your chest, and exhale, fold. And we'll fold to the legs. So if you want to hang, you can hang. If you want to loop your toes, you can do that. If you want to stand on your hands towards the wrist, you could do that. You could also hold your ankles or your shins, right? So any hand position, arm position that makes you feel good and safe by focusing on the fold. And when we fold, we want to try to close the gap between the rib and the thigh, right? If we were rounding, then we'd have maybe a gap because then we'd be looking for that hollow shape if you were folding. And if you feel really comfortable in a fold, try to not only keep that connection of rib cage to thigh, but also send a little weight forward towards the balls of the feet. And I get a bit of shake through the back of my legs when I do that. And then pressing through the feet, just roll up with a round, round, round spine. And as you curl up, your shoulders might creep up. You can roll the shoulders back. Cactus arms. So cactus arms looks like this from the front, this from the side. Press the elbows forward, lift the chest. Think of a little bit like a standing back bend, but really emphasize the lift, the arc up and back. Try to feel that the scoop forward of the elbows with fingers back. You can feel the shoulder blades against you and supporting you from underneath. And then just come back to neutral. And then take your right arm under the left arm and twist tie the arms. So you have your right arm under the left, and again from the side, my elbows, I'm going to lift them as high as my shoulders and press the hands more forward in space. So if possible, I'm trying to do a bit of a 90-degree in the arm, elbow area. And then we'll take the right leg up and over the left. So we're going to find a balance with eagle legs. So you could just cross it once, and that's totally okay. If you have room, or if you find that when you bend your left knee, you can maybe tuck the right toe behind the lower leg. You can try that. Just squeeze to center. I like to stay upright and think of pulling the fingertips upwards, right, as I sit my hips downwards. So challenge on your balance, looking for space across your upper back and around your outer hips. Go ahead, release the arms, release the legs. Cactus again. So cactus from the front looks like this. And then scoop those elbows forward, fingertips back, frontal hip bones up, chest up, little standing back bend. Imagine your shoulder blades underneath your heart, lifting it up. And then as you return your chest down to neutral, right? Left arm under, right. So the other arm underneath, so left arm under. And from the side view again, I'd be lifting the elbows and pressing the hands forward. And that can be challenging, so you just do the best you can, right? You might not even get your hand to the palm, right? And you just do what you can. It's going to create that tension again across the upper back. We're going to send the left leg up and over the right thigh. So again, it's like you're sitting with your legs crossed in a chair. Maybe not getting the toe behind the lower leg for a second loop around. And then I like to stay upright and pull the fingertips up to the sky. And go ahead, unwind. Now let your shoulders, let your chin to your chest and curl down. And when you get to the bottom, see if you can fold enough to get maybe the back of your hands on the floor beside your feet. You might take your hands behind your back and draw them forward. Or again, if that's not comfortable, you can again just keep holding your elbows or keep your hands on the floor. And as you inhale, lift your face, place your hands on the floor, and step back to plank. Optional to squeeze in a little flow here if you would like. You don't have to. Plank to low, upward facing, downward facing. Take your right leg and take it towards a pigeon. So our traditional pigeon where the right knee is at the right wrist, the left leg slides back, and then just lift the chest. So go tall pigeon, and feel like you could lift your chest up the front wall in front of you. So going for that sort of puffy effect. And then notice also if your hips could use a little squaring. And then start to lean a little bit forward, like let's say halfway down. And then take your elbow and plant it on the floor right in front of you, your right elbow, right elbow. And then if you can, see if you can take a little prayer twist to the left. And it's an open twist. So it's not the same kind of twist that you do when you're twisting in your lunge, let's say, because you're going outwards, you're going open instead of against the front leg. But you'll notice that you're putting more pressure into the bend of that right leg. And so me, I find I feel a little more, I'm actually feeling it at my inner right thigh, but you might be feeling it at your outer hip. You might not feel anything at your hip if you have really open hips. You might be feeling a nice stretch through the back. And then just come back in the center. And tuck your back toe and just step back down dog. And if you want to squeeze in another float, again, light to low. Upward facing. And downward facing. And flip around again so I can face you. We'll do left leg to the pigeon. Right leg sneaks back. Tall, puffy pigeon. And then as you lean forward, let's say you lean halfway, plant your left elbow just on the floor, maybe kind of under your collarbone, under your chest. And then maybe you can take a little bit of prayer hands. And you think of your spine still in a diagonal, so you're lengthening as you twist, right? You're not crouching at all. Okay, and then we'll unwind. and go back to down dog. Pedal it out and option to flow. Walk your feet towards your hands. When you get there, inhale, lengthen, exhale, fold, and then press into your feet and just stand up. Exhale, hands down. So we're going to work a little bit on a flying pigeon. You don't have to fly the pigeon. You can just take your figure four and stay with that figure four in an upright balance. So what that would look like, I'm just going to demo it first and then we can do it together. You would take your ankle across and you just hang out here. You don't have to go any further than that. You get tons of work through your hip. If you need assistance because it's going to be a little while, you could definitely hold, right? A prop, blocks, whatever you've got in your environment to help you hold it longer. And if you can't hold it long, then you just come out, okay? I'll talk us through it. If you know it already, you're welcome to just go and do your thing, right? Again, you might just work to find a little bit of balance or a little bit of lift and maybe not even extend that back leg. So all options. So we'll start balancing through the left leg. We'll take the right ankle across and take the figure four. Start to sit into your figure four. And as you go down, you'll feel your hips. And, you know, if your hips are feeling really limited today, you may not feel like it's a good idea to go any further. You can see, you can bring your hands down in front of that right shin. Okay, and again, this could be where you stop. If you can, see if you can bring your hands flat on the floor. And then you want to hook your toes around your left upper tricep. When you do, you're going to lean your weight against the right shin. And then see if you can lift your left toe. You might just stay there. If you feel it, you might extend the leg. And it's totally optional. I'm going to crash into the sofa. So, you know, just work on the balance. Make sure you're breathing. And then you can come out, go in, hold it long, do what you need to. When you're ready, you just come out the same way that you went in. So no pressure to do a lot of them. And again, just work on what you're feeling. Like it might just be, you know, testing the balance in your hands today. And that's fine. It's about getting also comfortable with the shape. You might be more used to crow where your knees are on the outside. There's nothing across your body for that one. So this could feel very like cramped in. Your hip might not even allow your shin to come that close to you. So again, just working with what you have. Even if you're just balancing, it's a great exercise for the hip already. So we'll do the other leg. One of the things I want you to think about, if you feel that your leg or the leg that's crossed is slipping, really hook that toe around the upper arm. That hook is what's going to lock it there. And then you want to lean into that shin, the shin that's across your chest, as though it were a bar. That's going to support you. Okay? So let's do the other side. Again, try it once, try it twice. Just do what feels good in the moment. Don't worry about it. It's just something we're going to try. And again, I know not because everyone can't. Doesn't feel good in it. We're not going to dwell on it too long. So same on the other side. You're going to put the weight down the right leg. Bend your left knee, take it across, and start to sit. And as you sit, you might try to bring your fingertips to the floor. I'm going to back up a bit. And when you do, you want to crouch in enough to see if you can get your hands on the floor. And that part already is super tricky, might not be accessible. I pull my toes back towards my knee so that it hooks around the upper arm and it stays. That's really critical. When I lean into the leg, that's when I might be able to pick up the leg, the back leg, and that's also maybe when I can take the leg up in the air. Maybe, maybe not. You might hold it, you might, come out, you might try it again. I don't want to rush you. So wherever you are in that, you just work on it, right? Try not to get discouraged. You just want to feel, a little challenge. And then whenever you're ready, you just make your way out. And if you can, come out the same way you went in. It's just good practice to try to reverse your actions just to see if you can, you know, save something in the tank to exit your pose. So whenever you're out, you're at the front of your mat, we'll inhale, lift the arms, exhale, forward fold. If you need to take more rest, just go to downward dog, stay there and rest. If you want to flow, by all means. Right, and everybody's at a different place in their practice. And it's about practicing, right? Like the more you are exposed to something and the more you see it and maybe even do it, the more it's going to feel okay for you to try and maybe even improve if it's something that you are working. Long breath in, long breath out. The right foot, step forward. We'll come up to a high lunge. We'll open to warrior two. Just pause in warrior two. Take your space. Do a side angle, so it could be elbow at the knee, it could be hand towards the floor, inside, a little more challenging on the outside. We're going to take the left hand to the floor under the shoulder, square the back ankle, right? And then take the right hand up. Go to the outer edges of your feet. And just like last time, really bend into the right knee, flex the left ankle so you feel your right bum. Optional to step behind and flip your plank. Totally optional. Go back to plank and flow out. Lower, upward, and downward. And then left foot. Again, take your space, find your high lunge. Warrior two. Side angle. So the side angle could be elbow to knee, hand to the inside of the foot, again on block or on the floor, or to the outside. As you look down, place your right hand on the floor under your shoulder, square your back ankle, and lift your left hand. And you could stay here. You might flip to the outer edges of your feet and really charge into the legs. So I like to bend the left knee more, flex strongly, press firmly into the right ankle. And then maybe step behind. And then come through plank to low, upward, and downward. Looking to your hands, step, walk, or jump. Lift your chest halfway. Exhale and fold. Inhale, standing all the way up. Exhale, hands down. So from our mat, we're going to step weight into the left leg. Okay, warrior three. So we're going to work on warrior three, where you're just holding. And your arm position is completely up to you. I like down, right, or even out. More challenging to go forward with the arms, but if that's where you're at, go for it. I never want to discourage adding more challenge if that's where you're at. So we're going to weight down through the left leg. As you step into the left foot, start to take the right leg back. Arms. And I want you to think about all of your limbs. And sometimes we only focus focus on the leg that's being lifted and trying to square that hip, which yes is important, but also see if you can feel a lift underneath the arms so that your chest feels lighter. As you inhale, come up, bring your knee to your chest. Try not to let the foot touch the floor. And just stand for a moment. And as you stand tall, notice if you are leaning back. Try to stand up rather than lean. And then we'll bring the right foot down. Take a moment. We're going to do the same on the other side. Okay? Lots of flying today. So sending the weight down the right leg. When you're ready, take your left leg back. Focus on the squaring of the hip. Lifting that leg. Whichever arm position you're choosing. Really thinking about lift from underneath the body. Start to come up. Balancing, holding left knee. Opposite grip if you remember. Stand opposed to lean. Good, and then let it go. Step out your feet. Inhale, tall. Exhale, fold. Inhale, long. Hands to mat, step back. A little lower. We'll walk our feet forward. And come down to your seat. Straighten out your legs. We're going to roll down and roll up. So if you're finding it hard to roll up, go ahead, use some momentum, hold your legs, whatever you need to do. Use your hands on the floor if you need to, even to bring yourself back up. And then as you get more used to that movement, see if you can use less momentum or less, throwing of the body and more muscular contraction to get that. Arms forward, tuck your tail, crawl down. And you can move slower than me or even faster than me if that's your pacing. Inhale to lift, exhale to reach for your feet. Do your best to keep your feet down on the ground as you do this. And I like to really reach past my feet, like going into almost like a forward fold and then curling back. So make it feel fluid, right? So again, if you're not moving at my pace, you just keep going. But make it fluid, and if you can, make it somewhat evenly timed. Like, so notice if you rush down or you rush up, right? Sometimes when we're doing something quickly, it's because we don't have as much control. So it's good to just notice in your body what your tendencies are. And you might find that you're like migrating backwards on the mat just by virtue of doing this action, and that's fine. Don't worry about it. Just keep going. We'll readjust when we stop. And you might be able to do 5. If you're going really slow, you might do less. That's okay too. Drop. And then when you've done your 5, you'll just go all the way back to lying down so you can end in the lying down position. And if, like me, you've moved up on your mat, just go ahead, scoot down. And we'll just take a moment so everyone can catch up. Just relax. I like to have my feet on the floor so my low back can settle, like hip width apart. I'm gonna move into back bends next. So options for you here, if you would like to do something more restorative or relaxing, do your bridge on top of a couple blocks just to have yourself supported for that. And you can just stay in that shape, not go up and down. If you're feeling a little more active, you can take active bridges where you're just using your body to lift yourself into bridge. If you want to work on wheel today, feel free to do wheel. I do suggest maybe doing the first one as a bridge and then going to wheel if you'd like. Let's say we do 3, unless you want to hold one especially long. And again, feel free to go at your own time because again, everyone takes a different amount of time to get in and to come out. If you can, take 5 slow breaths when you get to the expression of the pose that you want to stay in, right? That would be like 1 time in that pose. So again, working on your own, whether it be wheel or wheel is where your hands are at your head, or bridge where we're just going to lift our hips. So we'll come into bridge first. Let's lift the hips and send the knees forward. I like to press my arms straight down. I don't tuck my shoulders under. And I also emphasize more of the work in the legs, which means my bridge is more a straight line from shoulders to knees, opposed to a lift where I'd be lifting my rib cage, which sometimes you see. It's not wrong, it's just different, where that is creating arc through the back. And this might give you a sense of what you need to do for the next back bends, right? Depending on your energy level, depending on how you're feeling through your body. Go ahead, come down, take a moment, rest. And of course, between back bends, if you need to do stuff like windshield wiping the knees, knees to chest, any of that kind of stuff, do take your time. I'm going to give you lots of time to do 2 more back bends, so please don't rush. Don't rush. Okay. I'll talk us through a wheel. Of course, don't do the wheel if that's not a part of your practice. You're not feeling it today, but I'll talk you through it since we all already did the bridge. So I like to go into wheel by lifting to bridge first, setting that up so I know that my legs feel good, then setting my hands. So when I set my hands, I do make sure they're at least shoulder width apart, maybe even more if I happen to have a broad upper body. And then from here, I'm going to press into my feet and then work to straighten my arms just to get the top of my head on the floor. And you don't have to stop, but I like to stop so I can set my hands so the fingers turn more back and my elbows are more stacked in a 90-degree. From there, that's when I work to straighten the arms. And then I think of sending the chest through the arms. So in my imagination, I'm thinking about the elbows stacking above the wrist. And that won't be possible for everyone, of course, but it's like the intention, right? Or it's the idea of the direction in which I want my body to move. And you should feel like your legs are doing a lot of work. You should also feel like maybe a stretch through the front body, through the front belly wall. Relax your head. Breathe. And again, you can go down or you can stay up. If you need to come down, just come down. Try to reverse, doing the same as what you did to go up. I'm going to try to stay in this one maybe twice as long, but that's just what I'm feeling today. If for you you're coming down and then going back up, please do so. You don't have to be completely still. You can work a little bit of bending the knees, pushing through, bending the knees, pushing through. You could stay still, right? It just depends on your comfort level with this pose. And if you're coming down, you're bending your elbows and you're trying to land in the same place where you took off. So if you've been practicing a while, start to notice that maybe, right, where do you land when you come down out of your back bend? Are you like super close to your heels? Are you like way up at the top of your mat? And that'll just maybe give you a glimpse into what part of the body you're using to really power those movements. And if you can, so if you haven't done any counter pose, you can take your feet wide, let the knees knock together. You can just rest in that position. Right here, my knees are tented. You could also do more moving. You can pinch your weight left to right with the knees, the legs. That's sometimes nice if you've been holding for a long time because now you're moving that whole pelvic area. And also you could do a happy baby, which is really nice and neutralizing too. Right? Happy baby is sort of the knees are coming close. I probably wouldn't push really hard into it. You can just come out of the back bend. I kind of like to ease into it, feel really comfortable, and then start to maybe add pressure as you feel. Likewise, if you've had enough time on your back, you could just even sit up and do a forward fold. That's the classic counter pose. So just answering whatever it is that your body is asking you to do to counter pose, to relax. If there is another pose maybe that you're feeling that you need to do or to get in before you close your practice, you could squeeze that in here now. Um, Otherwise, I encourage you to set up for your final rest. And so for final rest, right, if you have blocks and you want to set them up underneath your legs or underneath your back, you can do that. If you have a wall or sofa nearby, and you do legs up the wall or legs up the sofa, that's also a good option. For the next few moments, you're just relaxing your body in. If lying on your back is not a good choice for you, you would rather be sitting on your side, no, allow for it. back to the body, fingers, back to the toes, to the wrists, to the ankles. Perhaps taking the arms up over the head, stretching the legs long. And allow the knees to float to your chest, over to your side. From your side coming on up. Thank you so much for sharing your day with me. Thank you for your energy, for practicing yoga, and especially for all of your efforts. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.